What's up, Union Arena players? This is University for you all for a shot at going with its first tier list of the English format. I know it's going to be a little wonky and there's going to be a little bit different than other people would do, but I'll explain my reasonings behind what I'm going to be talking about. So without further ado, let's get into it. So this is how I'm going to handle and structure my tier list. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. You guys might understand that some people will go, oh, there's a 1.5 tier. To be straight honest with you, 1.5 is so people don't get hurt that their deck isn't Tier 1. Their most Tier 2 decks are really strong at the end of the day, but then you kind of get the decks that are good but definitely need that final wave of support to really shine the best, and there's going to be some decks like that. So we're going to talk about it and go into it, and let's see where we go. First off, we have the Stern Ritters. Stern Ritters is actually a little bit better than people are thinking. It is definitely a Tier 2-esque deck, like not bottom 3, but Tier 2-esque. People are very sleeping on it. The deck has a lot of things to work with and can apply a lot of pressure. Being able to stun threats when you're about to swing in can lead to being very powerful plays, and it does have a lot of unique catch-up mechanic bases that'll help you get back into it while also controlling your opponent's hand size as well. So there's a lot of ways of interaction with this deck, and it's really a more confident pilot will actually do a lot better in it. So I think that's very important to take into account. Then we do got Ichigo Bleach. Ichigo Bleach, I'm gonna say, is really strong still, even without the Rukia and everything like that and the Orihime. Ichigo is still really solid. If you go even just Ichigo with its impact strat, you can apply pressure that way, or you could go other routes with it. Purple Bleach has a lot of different avenues right now that you can work with while still controlling board state. So Ichigo's being able to utilize the trash and figure out how to go about it is really good. Then we have Byakuya Kuchiki. This is your Tier 1 as well. I think it's a very solid deck. It focuses on Rukia's brother's ability to kind of, manipulate board state, make them a little bit weaker, so when you swing in, it actually matters. And being able to use his own Bankai to be able to kind of manipulate the damage in a way that, is not as heavy resource. Because again, I think it does a little bit better than Ichigo, just in the sense that it uses a lot less to apply more pressure. It's a great control strat, similar to how, the Stern Ritters are a control strat as well. I think this is really solid where we want. We got Toshiro. Toshiro is definitely a crazy strong deck. It is starting to shine more and more as the format's developing, and we're starting to see a very good lineup here. And I think this is very important to take into perspective. Actually, Toshiro's being able to use his ability to lock down, and then basically because he becomes a vanilla, it's not really a value trade anymore with the opponent's removal effects, because it's just getting rid of a 4000 DP guy, and that's not always beneficial for people to remove. So it kind of just has a lot of on-play strats, and it's really solid. And then you have Yamamoto. To be honest with you, Yamamoto is still really solid. I think it does really well into all the levels, and it does quite well. The only really bad matchup I've seen Yamamoto have is actually straight up the Toshiro deck. The rest of the decks it actually does quite well into, and it's feels like a 50-50 split with it, and it really comes down to what triggers get active and everything like that. So I think Yamamoto is definitely a very solid lineup here. Then we have Dice. Well, the specified slots. So this one I definitely think is a Tier 2 deck that can still handle into the Tier 1 categories, and it's very solid into it. I think there's nothing really out of the ordinary here that I would scream that needs to be changed, but I definitely think this is really solid here. It's a unique play style, and I've played it a little bit and I'm still testing it. but it can definitely, when it goes off and has the right hands, it's a very strong deck into the tier 1s, but you still have a lot of setup that you need to get there. And if your hand's not set up, it's going to be one of those decks that a confidence pilot and understanding of the deck can really do well with it. So it's a very skill heavy item. Bombers are good, but I think they just need a little bit more and they can go crazy. But I don't think they're like strictly tier 3. I mean, to be straight honest with you, definitely does better into the tier 2 category. Can answer some of the tier 1s occasionally if opens the right hands, but definitely struggles a little bit to keep up just against the overall meta itself. This Sholo, whatever this one is, I'm forgetting the name, mind blank here. And I definitely say it's tier 2. Really solid game mechanics. I think it definitely holds up with the meta. This guy here, haven't seen anything related to him. He's good, but definitely needs some more support. Then you have Kurapika, strong, definitely part of the tier 1 brigade here. I definitely think this is where it sits. Definitely the tier 2 deck going, the starter deck going. Man, if you wanted a budget deck that's really good out of just opening up 2 starter decks, this is the deck you go with. Straight up, I think this is kind of where my tier list is going to hold. And I think we have a really good spread of a tier 1 category so that it becomes really pilot dependent, even into the tier 2 can actually do well into your local metas and stuff like that, because players will understand. If you can understand your meta, it's going to evaluate how you play. So especially in the first couple weeks, this might evolve at near the end, and we'll do some other kind of like tier lists with the deck overviews. But yeah, I think this is really solid, and hopefully guys enjoy. Let me know down in the comments.